Today is going to be an interesting video, and I hope no one gets mad, but it's something that I wanted to talk about for a while. So having been in the writing and author community for quite a bit now, I've started to realize that I have some different opinions about certain things than other people do. Now, obviously that's not a bad thing. There's opinions for a reason because people have differing opinions, and when we combine our thoughts and experiences together, we can learn from each other and grow. But I've kind of realized that there are three opinions that I have that really go against the grain of what most authors think. So I thought I would explain my thoughts behind some of these and maybe give you a different perspective on some of these different tips, I guess. Again, this is not to make anyone angry. If this goes against what you think, no harm done. These are just my opinions, and I thought it'd be interesting to share them and see what happens. Without further ado, here are three unpopular writing opinions that I have. Unpopular writing opinion number one is to read above your writing level. So for me, I currently write young adult, but my goal in the future is to eventually write for adult. Now, this tip applies to me because I want to continue to learn and to grow through my writing and through my reading, because the best way you get better at writing, besides actually writing, is to read and get a larger vocabulary and all that. And because of that, I'm going to read above my writing level. Now, this doesn't apply to everyone. If you are planning to stay in whatever category you're writing in, for the most part on AuthorTube and all that, a lot of people write young adult. If you're happy writing young adult, that's totally cool. Then you should absolutely be reading young adult, because that way you know where your genre is and you know the style of writing that fits that genre and those types of books. If you're writing for children, then absolutely you should be reading elementary school and middle grade books, because you have to know where your audience is and the appropriate topics and subject matter and writing style for your audience. But if you want to continue to learn and grow as a writer, you really should be reading above where your writing is. Now, that's not to say that I don't read young adult at all, because I have a ton of other friends that still write in young adult, so I will absolutely read young adult. I really enjoy young adult. I think it's super fun and super cool. There's a lot of potential in that genre, and there's a lot of really great stories that are told in young adult. But I read more than one book at once. I usually have one that I bring around with me everywhere, one that I read before bed. Sometimes I keep one in my backpack, or when I'm on a train or on a plane or whatever. And those books, I usually always try to keep one young adult or one writing friend book if someone comes out with a new book, and I'm always trying to read an adult book. So that way I'm gaining new vocabulary, I'm learning about different writing styles, and at the same time, I'm still supporting the author friends that I have, but I'm kind of balancing it out that way. So that's just a recommendation. I really challenge you to reflect on where you are as a writer and where you are as an author, and consider maybe going outside of your comfort zone in terms of reading. Unpopular opinion number two is to read your reviews. This goes for someone who is already a published author. I hear a lot of people saying not to read your reviews, which, I gotta be honest, I don't think that's a good idea. And here's why. When you're writing, you are writing obviously for yourself, but you're also writing to tell your stories. And you care what your readers think about your stories. I mean, obviously, when I have someone reading my book, I want to hear what they think. I hope they like it, I hope they enjoy it, but there are gonna be people that don't enjoy your books. Now, that's just a part of art, that's just a part of putting yourself out there, but I do think we should be listening to what people don't like about our work. Now, there's two types of criticism. There's criticism to just be mean, and then there's constructive criticism, and it's important to know the difference. If there's someone who's just trash talking a book or trash talking your work, no, you should not be listening to their opinion, because they're just a hater, for lack of a better word, and they're not trying to get you to improve. They just, for some reason, don't like you, and that's okay. I mean, it sucks, and it's hard to accept that there are people out there like that, but that's the truth. And it's important to accept that as an artist, and the sooner you accept that, the easier it is to move on. What you need to look out for is constructive criticism, because there are going to be people who really like your book, but they have something that they wish was different. I'm gonna be totally honest and lay it down. For The Scavenger, a lot of people complained that the pacing was too fast. Now, a big part of that is the switching of perspectives in The Scavenger. Each chapter is a different perspective, and each chapter brings something to move the story forward. So you ended up having a lot of story condensed in a small 214-page book, and it moved very fast, and some people had trouble keeping up with the different perspectives. That's totally fine. That's understandable. Like, I mean, I've immersed myself in the book, so I know what the different characters are and I know which chapters are in which perspectives, but I can totally see how that can be confusing for a reader. In Missing Her, I tried to slow it down more. I definitely had more moments where I wasn't explaining the plot for the reader, but I was giving more insight into what the character was thinking, what was going on behind each decision. And in the long run, the people who read Missing Her after they had read The Scavenger definitely noticed that there was a change and they really liked it. My biggest recommendation for when you're reading your reviews overall is to read it with an open mind and a grain of salt, because that way you're open to review and open to criticism, but you're also keeping that in the back of the mind saying, okay, is this really trying to help me or are they just being mean? And last but not least, tip number 3 is that shorter is sometimes better. So you will notice that my books are shorter than a lot of books out there. Missing Her is 47,000 words, and The Scavenger is just around 42,000 words. And in the long run, the young adult category, that's pretty low in terms of writing. I mean, there are books out there 150,000 words, 100,000 words, 200,000 words. Like, there are really, really dense books out there and really, really long books out there. But for me personally, I'd rather have a shorter book that has a ton of stuff compacted in it than to have a book that rambles on and on and on. There's a saying that writers love to write, and we do love to write, and sometimes that can mean that we write way too much. I will definitely say there were times in Missing Her and in The Scavenger where I could hear myself rambling, and in the first draft, that's fine. Get all the words out there, that's totally fine, but I definitely cut back on some of the scenes where I was like, you know, this isn't really necessary, this is restating a lot, and I'd rather keep the plot moving, keep it interesting, and keep the reader engaged. I find that even if you have a really, really strong story with really, really strong characters, if you're rambling on, the reader will put the book down because it's boring. Like, they'll be engaged and be interested, but if it's just going on and on, then they might put your book down even if they're enjoying the characters and enjoying the story. Every scene that you have should either be advancing the plot or advancing your character arcs, or if it's like in the very beginning, it should be laying the foundation for those changes. If it's not doing anything, and if you can cut that out and it doesn't change anything in the plot, then it may not need to be there. So those are my 3 unpopular writing opinions. I hope no one's mad at me, but I just felt like I had to get those out there because I have really strong opinions about them, and I thought people might be able to learn from them. So do you have any unpopular writing opinions? Do you have any opinions about my unpopular writing opinions? Feel free to leave them in the comments below. I am open to criticism, and I would love to hear what you guys are thinking. Thank you for stopping by. Bye!